Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada, the engineer, with me, Mr. Lady Ada, on camera control. We've got an exciting show for you tonight. All sorts of products and videos and demos, lots of guides, and of course, questions at the end. Let's get right into it.
On tonight's show, the code is Star Strand. You'll see why later during our new product segment. You could probably guess why, but it's Star Strand, 10% off the native store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Use it or lose it. Talk about some of our live shows, including Show and Tell. We'll have a little bit of a recap from Desk of Lady 8, including what was on the Great Search. JB's product pick of the week highlight, some time travel, some news around in the worlds of hackers, makers, artists, and engineers, and more. Some 3D printing and more. We have two videos. One is very CircuitPython related, and one's a cool speed up getting ready for the Halloween season, our favorite time of year, which is all year Halloween. New product introduction, Ion MPI, brought to you by DigiKey. This week it is eSwitch. We got new products. We're going to answer your questions. You can put them in Discord, adafruit.it/Discord, or post them anywhere on the web throughout the week. As long as we can see them, we will put them in. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask Engineer.
Bap, bap, bap.
Okay,
So those are
so
new, like questions from like the community during the week and live.
yeah,
Like
we just needed time. Yeah, so there's, I'd say there's probably 100-ish questions that go unanswered involving engineering somewhere within our orbit because
Yeah.
we just don't see the weird reply on Mastodon instance, whatever. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is figure out ways to capture those questions and then add those to the question section. So we have Anne who's helping out. I'm doing it. And it's working out because there's a lot of really good questions. So we're getting to them. And we'll continue to do more because what we know is not everyone can watch the show live. So there's questions throughout the week. Also, I'll say this. A lot of people think the videos that we put on YouTube are live because we do live shows. They'll put questions in there thinking they're talking to us live, but they're not. So that's fine too. I get it because it's like, I was thinking about like little kids that probably have no idea what it's like for a television not to have a pause button.
Yeah.
Or like being able to watch anything anytime and not have to watch things live. So anyhow, or the opposite with streaming and like TikTok and all that, everybody thinks things are live too. So
When I was a kid, I specifically remember a time that I was watching Doctor Who and it was dinner time. And I remember thinking, I wish I could turn it off. And when I turned it back on, it would start
yeah.
where Doctor Who
So
left
like
off.
being able to set your VCR timer was a superpower, and then eventually there's things like TiVo.
We did not have VCRs at the time.
Some perpetually blinked 12 o'clock. Now they're cat feeders. There's a good article in Make.
Okay.
That's online.
All right, let's get into the show.
Yeah, sure.
Guides.
Okay, so the code is Star Strand. Lady Ada, do the quadrant here. We're just going to do this. What do they get?
$9 or more, you get the PCB coaster with a gold Adafruit engraved on top. $149 or more, you get a KB2040, which is the same board used in that cool Doom keyboard. The reason that it was a really good microcontroller, well, first off, it's Pro Micro pinout compatible, but it uses an RP2040, so it's like super powerful. But it also has the USB pins, the D minus and D plus pins, broken out onto the GPIO pad like area, and so it's really easy to embed into hardware, and then you can like, you don't have to have a cable. You can just solder directly to USB. $199 or more, you can get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States, and we're still giving away a Circuit Playground Express when you order $299 or more. It's our favorite all-in-one microcontroller board with LEDs, sensors, buttons, and more, and you can code it in CircuitPython.
Okie dokie, we do a bunch of live shows at Lady Ada, and the live show that just happened just a few minutes ago was, you guessed it, Show and Tell every single week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. People around the world show and share their projects with the world this week. Thank you so much, Liz, for hosting the Show and Tell. Great projects. I saw Scott zoom by. I saw JP show the Doom keyboard. There's a couple other people, so we watched that right afterwards. You can watch it right afterwards this show as well. But come by, lots of retro stuff. We will have a
I was so tired, I just lay down and just closed my eyes for like 40
yeah,
minutes.
I was getting the show ready. There's a parade of things that we're going to be showing on Show and Tell, our personal collection of things, because we have the Adafruit floppy gallery and the keyboard museum. I think that's what we're going to call it.
True topics that
Yeah.
are covered in our show today.
Yeah. So on Sunday, we do the desk of Lady Ada. And Lady Ada, the desk of Lady Ada, we showed the start of you having a standing desk.
Yeah.
And then you also
Yeah, I showed off the kit.
showed off the kit. And
I was
then,
actually missing one part, so I couldn't do my desk yet.
yeah. And then, today I gotta, oh, sorry, not today, a day ago, it's been a long day. I actually thought,
It's Wednesday.
I actually thought, so at the end of Monday, like
We
around
thought it was Tuesday.
at 6 o'clock, I thought it
When's
was,
time to get the trash?
I thought it was Tuesday night at 9 o'clock because I was up so long that it was like 2 days, but it was still just Monday anyways. Um, so I got a package from Amazon and it was an empty envelope, and I had to go through the AI chat thing. They do the right thing. You do a refund. They ask you like, do you do this all the time? I'm like, no. And
Do you constantly pretend like you didn't receive your batches?
but anyways, you were missing a part for your desk. We're probably gonna get it. We have to email them. But what did you show on the Great Search?
Okay. On the Great Search, I think we did a customer request
was.
or a request. They were looking for a headphone amp I2S DAC that had volume control for replacement of the TLV 320 AIC
Hmm.
32. I think was part number, which was obsolete. And so we found a couple options, including a low cost option, a really good quality option, and I think like maybe a third one is like, oh, if you wanted a Maxim parts. I think we found something from
Okay.
an NAU Nuvatron one, a TI one, and a Maxim one. Each one had pros and cons, but they were all really good headphone output I2S DACs that could like had good quality and like good sound, good low driving.
Yeah. All that and
For your
more
cans.
every Sunday. We do something cool from the desk of Lady Ada. And what was neat in the Discord chat, people were posting up photos of their standing desks. I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
And they were trading like, oh, here's what I did. Here's how I did it.
Some guy did a kit and he
Yeah.
posted it in the chat what the kit was. Watch the video because it'll be in there.
Okay. And then on Tuesdays, we do JP's product pick of the week, where JP has a product that automatically has the discount already on the product page, broadcasted from the product page. Take it away, JP, for this week's highlight.
It is the USB-C plug breakout. USB wireless mouse. It comes with a USB type A dongle, which looks something like that. If you've got a USB-C port you want to use, what you can do is gut the thing and connect it right to our board. The 4 little PCB contacts that originally went into the USB-A port, green for data plus, white for data minus, red for voltage, and black for ground. So I have those connections there going to my little board from the breakout. I can plug this into my computer. I'm just using a little extension there. So that's now plugged into USB-C, and you'll see my mouse cursor working on there, and probably a little easier to see is the fact that I can scroll using this wireless mouse. Hey, today it is the USB Type-C plug breakout.
Okay, and tomorrow it will be doom filled on JP's workshop, I'm sure. And then Friday, deep dive with Scott. Time travel time. Get back in time. Back in time. Okay, so time travel. This is the segment where Lady Ada sneezes.
Hi.
And
It's
it's a little chilly. We try to keep it cold right before the show starts because we're like, oh,
You have to wake up, yeah.
yeah, and we have to wake up. It's been we take a look at what's going on the Adafruit website. It is National Hispanic Heritage Month 2024. So what I want everyone to do is check out adafruit.com. Here it is. And you can see we have the banner up, we have a bunch of cool features and more. And then when you click it, it goes to the blog, and you could see stories, science fiction from Latin America with zombie dissidents and aliens and Amazon. We have the posts from just started. We have the posts from the previous years and more. Do check it out. And if there's anyone that needs to get put in the spotlight, that is what we're here for. We're very proud to be an electronic site that has very good editorial, a great editorial policy. You could submit your news, people to celebrate. We have the quotes page. So, anyways, and we're getting one other message out, Lady Ada.
What's that?
Yesterday was National Voter Registration Day.
It's
That-
wow, there's an election coming up
But
real soon.
but no one there was so much going on in the world that no one remembered to talk about it. As far
Don't
as
forget to register to vote and check your registration in
Oh.
case you moved.
And let me just tell you something. Here's the thing. I'm doing this now. For the people who work at companies, let
Yes.
me give you the thing that we need to do. This is important. Ready?
Yeah.
Send this clip to your boss. Hey, boss, I know for sure a paid day off for voting will increase productivity. There's this company called Adafruit. They're really weird. They're in New York City. They have 100 plus employees. They don't have loans. They don't have venture capital. They have voting as a paid day off. So, of course, there's rules and laws for people to leave their job to do voting. It's never enough time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out, especially if you have a job that really doesn't let you do that, which is like most jobs. So if it was a paid day off for voting, though, and productivity went up because of it, we do it every year. We've proven it's possible. We've emailed and worked with other companies. They've told us it worked out. So
And it's for good civic citizenship.
we're the example. Everyone always says, boy, it'd be great if we were like other countries. And Well, here's your chance. So send this to your HR group. And here's what you say. What will it take for us to make this happen? Have them come up with the criteria that, well, if we hit this metric, we'll do that. If everyone does it, and all these things that you can do, put it on them. And that's the best thing you can do. Because if they just say no because I said so, probably not a good place to work at. Anyways, next up, you're probably wondering, the other one, I have to look in the camera. So we have an AdaBox update, everyone. We're going to be updating the adabox.com site. We get to use this graphic again, which is Return to the AdaBox. Thank you so much for your patience. We're about to put an update which says there are many, many pieces of the AdaBox that we have to test. We are in the testing process for one of the major ones. We just moved our factory from Manhattan to Industry City. We've showed you
And it was a big thing.
every single step of the way. Lady and I personally, and our kiddo has moved to Brooklyn as well. So we are living out of boxes and more. But I promise you, we'll have your AdaBox. And we thank you for your patience. We'll let you know every step of the way. The testing phase of one of the major things is almost complete. And then we have to get thousands and thousands of things to work together, do a big launch. We're aiming, of course, to get it out this year. We'll keep everyone updated. This link will now be on the AdaBox site.
Yeah.
And if you want to cancel, fine. There's a lot of people who want to get an AdaBox, but if you want to stick around, great. We don't charge until we ship it, so you don't have to worry about that. Next up, it's Python on Hardware time. Every single week, we go over something really amazing and cool in the world of Python on Hardware, Lady Ada, and does the newsletter. The newsletter is available every single week. I'll talk about that in a second. This week, though, besides all the amazing content that you can get that has our eval board thing that we did where you were running CircuitPython super fast.
Before ESP32 before.
ARM stuff is going on. You can look at the brains of the Pico 2. A endless amount of projects and more. That's all Python on Hardware related. We are going to debut our video of code.circuitpython.org. Take it away.
With Adafruit's CircuitPython code editor, you can edit code from a web browser. This lets you connect via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or USB. The editor features autocomplete, a REPL serial monitor, and file management tools. We think this web workflow is great for dev boards that don't have native USB, like some ESP32 dev boards. To get started, we'll install CircuitPython onto our Feather ESP32 v2 using circuitpython.org. We'll search for the dev board on the website, launch the device page, and click Open Installer. On Mac and Windows, you may need to install the chip driver before installing CircuitPython on the Feather ESP32 v2. Select the Upgrade Install option and then click Connect. You can select your device from the pop-up dialog. Then click Continue. The website will erase the flash and install the latest version of CircuitPython. Once installed, you'll want to press the reset button on your dev board. We can then click Close once it's completed. Now we can head over to code.circuitpython.org. Connect your dev board using our good USB data cable and then select the USB option and click Connect to Device. Next, we'll select our device from the list in the pop-up. Now we can click on the serial button at the bottom and verify our board is connected. We can click Open in the top menu and see all of the files and folders on our freshly installed CircuitPython drive. I'll select the code.py file and click Open. Now we can write some quick demo code. Here we have a simple rainbow animation for the built-in NeoPixel. We'll want to install some libraries, so I'll open the library folder and upload the NeoPixel library. We can then use the navigation buttons to return to the root of the drive. I'll click Save and Run. Our NeoPixel glows and we can see our output in the REPL serial monitor. We think this is a great way to write and develop CircuitPython code. We hope this inspires you to try out the CircuitPython code editor.
Okay, so check that out. You get all the Python on hardware news delivered every single week to your inbox, adafruitdaily.com, and it's spam free. You can get it on the blog, you can get it RSS, you can get it on GitHub, all sorts of ways. Go get it. All right. It's open source hardware time. First up, believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that Teeny USB, which is used by top companies around the world, the open source way, Lydia will tell you all the things it does, is completely funded by Adafruit. A lot of companies use it, and then they're like,
more every day.
There's companies that are like, oh yeah, we don't like Adafruit, but we love their free software that runs everything. So, Lydia, what exactly is Teeny USB? What is it?
Teeny USB is
there's a new release too.
Yeah, let's go to that. Okay, so Teeny USB is a totally open source, freely licensed, like MIT licensed
It's only mentioned
USB stack. Well,
yeah, no, we don't make a big deal about it, but we thought we'd mention it.
Well, in fact, it started before he joined Adafruit.
Yeah,
like since then, it's
completely funded,
like 8
It's a completely funded open source project by Adafruit.
Yeah. So it's an open source USB firmware that if you have a chip and you have like a USB peripheral, and oftentimes you buy or lease the USB peripheral, whatever it's called, you license it from some company like Synopsys or whatever, or sometimes you develop it in-house. But just because you have a USB peripheral doesn't mean it's easy for people to actually turn that into a USB keyboard, like say in the Doom keyboard thing, or a mouse, or a joystick, or a disk drive, or a serial device. You have to have all the stack that does all the stuff in between that converts your USB peripheral into like MIDI or music or data, whatever, sound. So Teeny USB is a host and device stack that is, again, totally fully licensed freely, which means that companies that have chips, they save a ton of money because instead of having to manage and write their own stack, which believe me would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, all they have to do is add support for their chip into the code for Teeny USB, and we make it really easy. And like we support, like Espressif uses it, Analog Maxim uses it, Renaissance uses it. Arduino uses it.
Arduino uses it.
The RP2350 and RP2040 use it, which means that everything that uses. Yeah, but like everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody uses it. Yeah, like people who are competitors of ours, which we don't think, we think they're friends. We just like to do skateboard tricks and try to do the best tricks. Everyone uses it. It's great. ST doesn't use it, but their stuff kind of sucks. I think maybe Nordic started using Teeny USB, and if not, they should.
There's two types of people in the world.
Yeah.
Folks that should use Teeny USB and folks that do.
It's actually just easier for everybody to do, because the thing is that then there's just like one, like why reinvent everything over and over again? Anyway, so we did a new release, and I'm trying to remember what the release notes are. Do you want the release notes?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, the release notes are here.
I think we did okay. So we did, there's a lot of bug fixes. We did CH32 V203, so that was the big one. It's a 40-cent RISC-V core. That was something I requested. That actually took a lot of time because there was a lot of race conditions he found. Keep going. MCXA, I don't know the chip. Oh, a lot of work with the Max 3421E. So this is cool because this is a SPI to USB host chip, which we use in like our USB host Featherwing, and there's USB host shields. And if you want to take advantage of all the stuff that Teeny USB has done, you can now create Teeny USB devices that use Max 3421E, which means that chips that don't have native USB or only have one USB device and you also want USB host, now have a solution. So that was so this is actually a lot of stuff. And then can you keep going back? MSP430 stuff, some Nordic fixes, some 2040, and then some more WCH,
Okay.
and then a bunch more fixes and stuff.
So,
Thanks to everybody who did PRs, by the way. It's like there's a lot of people contributing to the TUSB
Yeah.
project.
so this is one of our, I'd like to say that this is a success story from Adafruit because
MicroPython uses it.
MicroPython uses it because it's not just for Adafruit, and we want the world to use it. And yes, other people who like compete with our hardware or us or like whatever their problem is,
You know, they do write USB stacks,
but
but nobody likes
we
it.
just like it. We'd rather just have something that can get everybody going as fast as possible and not reinvent the wheel over and over. And we fund it with money. And
Get that money.
yeah, and please buy something, of course. Don't have to. But we've done that with, we worked with MicroPython. We support and sponsor MicroPython, and we have our open source educational fork called CircuitPython. All these things can coexist too. So
Yeah.
anyways, we're hoping to get the word out about this more because it's like if we don't toot our horn, others won't.
I think it's going to tell people like once every 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Hey,
So we're going to do a blog post every release.
Yeah, great.
To the chase. Okay.
Cool.
So that being said, Lady Ada, we have a bunch of guides on the big board. How many
Okay.
guides this week?
Okay, so this week, so we've got the Blinka Says tabletop arcade game. So that was Tim C. He did this project. Oh no, I mentioned last week. That's the 18th project. Okay, so this week we got the Doom Keeb. So somebody emailed us and asked us to build it. So I was like,
This is actually,
project.
yeah, so it's an email that someone asked us, it's slightly different project, but when we came out with the Keeb, we said one day we're going to make a Doom keyboard.
Yeah.
So all
find the video.
all the stars finally aligned and we were able to do it.
So what's cool about this is that
Done.
it's the KB2040 inside, which we mentioned we give away free if you order enough stuff. It acts as both the USB device and it acts as the USB device if you it acts as a USB device, and then we have it doesn't do host, it's a different project.
Secret hub.
It has the button connected to it, and then we have a 2-port hub breakout that we recently brought out, and that makes it a lot easier. And then the hub basically makes it so when you plug in the keyboard, it shows up as two things. It shows up as the keyboard and your normal keyboard. And then thanks to Tyeth, who wrote some amazing PowerShell that will, no matter what disk drive it is that it shows up when it plugs in, it'll like do the right thing and launch the doom.exe or zdoom. And the Doom exe is actually stored on the Keeb drive because the Keeb has like 7 megs free, and like Doom ran on like 46s, whatever, right? So they were
Perhaps a floppy.
the binary we could run off a floppy maybe, or maybe a couple of floppies, I think. But so it's small enough to fit on a on the keyboard. So it's a good hack. And he made the little keyboard cutout. Liz did a guide for the DS2482S 800. This is very similar to the DS2484, which we put in. It's an I2C to 1-wire converter. This one is an 8-channel 1-wire converter. So you can have 8 sensors. And you're like, why would I do that when one wire shares the bus? Why not just have 8 sensors on the bus? The problem is then if you have different locations you're measuring temperature for, with your DS18B20s, that you need to know the ROM ID and you have to mark them and label them. This way you don't. You can have 8 1-wire sensors, which are like common sensors. And even if they get swapped out, you don't have to like memorize the ROM ID because there's no other way to, you can't address them any other way. Aaron did a cool guide for this garden path light project with WLED. We'll have a video. And then we have an It's a Snap daily weather forecast board. So It's a Snap is our iOS app, Android maybe later. We start with iOS while we iron out all the bugs. The Android app will be amazing. And it lets you take data from your phone and send it to Adafruit IO. And one of the cool things is that you can do stuff like send your location or the weather or your health kit data. You give it permission, and then you can send that to Adafruit IO. So instead of having to like write your own app that takes that data, this app is kind of like a universal glue that takes anything from your mobile device, which is like your life, because you look at it like 15 trillion times a day, and can send it to Adafruit IO.
Okay. Let's watch a quick video from Aaron, and then we'll bounce over, talk about Playground, and then we'll be on to the next segment. put guides up on Adafruit? Well, you can in Adafruit-Playground. It's a slightly different version of all the best of learn.adafruit.com for everybody. So check it out if you want to see some of the latest ones.
There's a
We've
lot
got
of
creating
projects, yeah.
living Apple shortcut. We use it for our own staff too when we just want to put up a quick note. We call them notes.
Yeah.
Feather TFT clock with gamepad input, primetime Python, work in progress Feather TFT clock, Oris, all sorts of cool stuff. We have
Love Oris.
info to get you started and more. It's time for 3D printing. We're going to do a speed up and we'll see you on the other side for INPI. Don't forget the code is STARSTRAND, 10% off an Adafruit store, a bunch of free stuff. Let's do INPI.
On NPI.
Hi, on NPI, brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. Thanks, DigiKey. This week, it is from eSwitch. Lady Ada, what is the new product introduction of the week this week?
Okay, this week it's these super fun fidget toys. No, they're e-stop switches. eSwitch also makes e-stop switches. These are safety switches for your equipment. They come in two flavors. There's this kind of mushroom-y one, and then there's this one that you can put an LED in. Usually comes with an LED, but you can get a custom LED. Both are really excellent safety switches that you can mount. They're not too big, so they're good for smaller equipment, but they're nice and red and bright, so you know where it is. You'll see it, and you'll be able to turn it off. So what is a e-stop or kill switch? You'll see this in a lot of equipment. All the equipment that we have at Adafruit has one of these, which is, I think, great. And it's basically your last gas safety measure. It basically goes in right between the input power and the machine. And so when the button is pressed or smashed or slapped, it's like it will immediately shut off all power to the machine no matter what. There's no like send an interrupt to a microcontroller that might like carefully shut it down. No, this is like you're immediately pulling the cord, but sometimes the cord is behind the machine or it's hardwired. You can't pull the cord. So this is the kill switch.
Yes, there's legislation to get these installed on every phone that has TikTok.
So I found this, like I remembered this, when we build, engineers, like we're building devices, and sometimes they're tiny little like cute Tamagotchi things, but sometimes they're devices that are like really big, really fast, and they can really hurt someone. And in school, like you often learn history of how to safely design things. And I remember one of the lessons of the Thera 25 is they had a disabled interlock. There was no last gasp, fix for if there was too much radiation emitted from this machine. And only a few days ago, I was talking to somebody who did safety engineering and inspection. We were talking about this book, The Design of Everyday Things, because a big part of this book is about how a lot of tragedies with safety engineering and user experience are because we have to design things for when people are using them and there's panic or confusion or they're hurt and they don't necessarily have like all of their faculties. You're not going to sit down and reason through like, oh, I have to enter a pin code into the machine to shut it down. They're going to be acting kind of in desperation. And so how do you design something that is so safe that you minimize the amount of mistakes that can be made? So let's go to the overhead and I'll show one of the cool things about kill switches and e-stops is, actually it's a little easier showing this one. So, we have switches that are like, momentary or, um, okay. We have switches that are like momentary. Like, this button here, which happens to be the multimeter, you press it, and you can, select different modes. And each time you press it, the mode changes. But you don't want that for your on off switch. And you don't want a switch that, is a toggle either, because you may not be able to read the little print that says on or off. You're like, is it on or off? And you might accidentally keep flipping it back and forth, which is, you might not be able to turn off. So what's cool about this is that this switch has one way to turn it off, and that's you press it. And when you press it, it latches closed and all the contacts open. And then you can't push it again, and you can't pull it either. In order to re-enable the machine, you have to twist it. So it's push to open, twist to close. And the same thing with this. It's, and there's a nice satisfying click, which is good. That's another thing. It's not a soft, and they purposefully say like, it's not hard to press, but it's like, it's you hear it and you feel it. So you know that you did something. And then you have to flick it, switch it, rotate it to reopen. And then there's there's an illuminator in this one. So that, reduces the risk of like, oh, there's a button and you press it and you're like, did I really turn it off? Because maybe the machine still has some momentum, and you press it again and then you just turned it back on. So, this kind of design where the immediate thing is to turn it off, and then if you want to turn it back on, you actually have to do a little bit of thinking. You're like, oh wait, I have to twist it in this direction. But the instructions say push, so you know that's the action you have to do. So this comes in two variations, but both are actually basically the same body. It's just the knob is different. You just drill a hole to mount it, and you'll pull a notch so it doesn't twist. Although if it's twisted, it's fine. It'll still work. And then DigiKey carries two options: without illumination and with. And the illuminated one only comes with the red 24-volt LED. But if you look, there are other options. So if you want a custom version, like you want neon because you want that like literally in line with the AC power, 6-volt, 12-volt, you probably want to have the LED in line with whatever your power is. So that it really indicates whether the machine has, not like it's functional, but whether there's power coming into the machine. Also handy if you have like a ground fault or like, something is shorted inside. So you really want to put this at the very entrance of power, the inlet. You'll also need spade connectors. Another nice safety thing, if you just go quickly to the overhead, I forgot to call this out. So all the spade connectors, you'll notice on our like low cost switches, these are all exposed, but here they're completely covered. There's no way for these to accidentally get bent and touch, or if you have the spade contacts inside, they won't be able to touch each other and accidentally short. That said, you want to have the spade connectors here. This is just a demo, but have the ones that are, of course, you crimp them on, but that have a full plastic cover. So again, minimize any risk of shorting between the contacts that would, of course, negate the benefit of having an e-stop switch.
And it's available on DigiKey, of
Yes.
course, as Lady just said, in stock and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, some folks have some very funny, clever things. You're pointing out that some of the absurd things that like everything needs an app. This isn't one of those things. Yeah, there's no AI with this. This is to save folks. And then someone said, "Have you seen the blade stop technology?" That's another safety thing there. They do the hot dog test where it stops the blade right before it nicks the person. But
yeah,
this is really cool stuff, and I see these every day at Adafruit because we like being safe. And it's one of those things when you see equipment, it's like, okay, I know I have control. When we were talking about IoT devices and IoT Bill of Rights, my joke was like it should have something like this in there.
yeah. I mean,
So turn off the microphone and the camera.
I remember distinctly, when I took a class at the Media Lab, and I had like John Maida, who is this like well-known designer, and he was like, "What are you designing?" He's kind of like this guy who like shows up and like says one thing and then walks away. Like he's kind of like an aloof cat. So he came in. I came into my office and he looked at this board I was designing, and he was like, every piece of hardware should have an mechanical off switch. Because I was like, oh, he's like, how do you turn it off? I was like, well, you just unplug it, because it was like a pre-Arduino type thing.
Yeah.
They have a mechanical off switch. So I tried actually, a lot of my Metro designs, I have an off switch. I try to move
It's interesting. The new AirPods, the case, there's no physical button to pair them. You have to know where to touch it on the outside for capacitive touch. Very interesting.
I don't remember not be into that.
Yeah. All right. So we have a little video, and then we'll bounce back and show you what's new in new product system.
Hi, my name's Adam. I'm an engineer here at eSwitch, and today I'm proud to introduce our newest series of switches, the E100 and 200 push-button emergency stops. The E100 and 200 are easy-to-operate push-button switches with high actuation force and a rotating push-lock design for safe and deliberate use. The E100 and 200 have either a tall red illuminated actuator or a short red non-illuminated actuator. We have 16 different illumination options, including LEDs, incandescents, neon, or with no lamp. The E100 and 200 are available in a wide variety of configurations between normally open and normally closed. The E100 and 200 have an operating temp of -25 Celsius to 55 Celsius with the lamp, or -25 to 70 Celsius without the lamp. All of our E100 and 200 emergency stops are available with IP65 in a 16mm cutout size. The E100 has UL, TUV, and ENIC agency approvals, whereas the E200 has UL and currently has the VDE approval pending. These switches are available for commercial appliances, security devices, industrial controls, and kiosks. You can head to eswitch.com for the E100 and 200 data sheets, agency approvals, and our full product catalog. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more information and news from eSwitch.
On NPI.
The code is Starstrand, Lady Ada. It is time. Everybody's favorite segment of the week. New product. New.
Okay. So these are cool. I actually wanted this for a project. So we have those USB-C to DC cables that like you plug them into a USB-C power supply and you get a DC voltage
I'm
out.
gonna show each one as you're talking.
Yeah, but one of the things is that like let's see where I put it. Who knows where it's here? Is like oh here it is. So I have a like a laptop power supply. Maybe you could just show me for a second.
You want to go to the
No, actually just show me.
oh, just us? Okay, go.
Yeah, because all this is kind of big. So I USB power supply, and you can't plug into this is like attached permanently, but then you have USB-C at the end. So I was like, I need something that has that just will plug onto the end here.
No, I know why you got these. I was
Yeah.
wondering.
So if you
That
go,
makes a lot of sense because you have this very high-powered USB-C thing,
yeah,
and you want to go, and it just goes straight to USB-C. You
It
want to go,
doesn't comment.
yeah, you kind of want to go the other way.
yeah. So if you go to the overhead, I'll show you.
I understand.
So you well, I mean it's not plugged in, but pretend it was.
It's for your laptop. You put that.
Yeah, but there's actually often like but maybe you have the Raspberry Pi USB-C or whatever. So it's USB-C, so it can go either way. And then you just get 2.1 millimeter, 5.5 millimeter output, and then they'll just give you power delivery output up to 3 amps. I'll say that the cables are a little more expensive because they also have an eMark chip that'll get you 5 amps. But if you only need up to 3 amps, although to be honest, you could probably draw a little bit more than 3, and like most won't bother. And then you can then use this. So another thing is, I'm starting to get used to like I now only carry one power supply when like I go to work or travel, and then I just have different tips and adapters. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't have to carry like 15.
This is
cables.
neat because the goal of getting the USB-C kind of happened, but you still need you still need this though.
Right, because so many devices still have
You can
DC
carry this.
power.
You're easy to carry. This is
They're
great.
very tiny. So yeah,
Okay.
I have like one of the, because I have something that's 9 volts that I'm carrying with me. I just put the 9-volt adapter in. So it says on the edge which one it is. So we have 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts. And then we're going to have 20. I know it's like, where's 20? The 21 didn't ship quite yet. But yeah, so it's a great way. Or if you do have a USB-C, and you want one of our cables that's extra long or whatever, you could just use this on the end and then like, boom, you've got DC
Good
power.
idea.
Good
Okay.
idea.
A lot of people have these little this is the tiny section of the show. Teeny tiny. Okay, so you might have these, but what do you want to do? You want to put them on this.
That's right. So let's say you have brick compatible, Lego brick compatible, not using the trademark term incorrectly, builds, and you want to add robotics, but you don't necessarily want to drop a couple $100 on like Mindstorms or Spike. They're totally great, but you just want like, you just want something small. So this is designed by Noah and Pedro, and you can, there's two versions. This is the horizontal version, and you see there's two little screws that come with the servo. You can just use your own screws. You can just mount it on, and then on the bottom, dun, 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 is brick compatible like circle dots, and they plug in very nicely into your bricks. We also have a version, you're like, wait, I want the other way, vertical. We have a version that's vertical. It's a little bit more because there's more plastic. These are resin printed, also with dots, and then you can easily use, we have actually a couple servos. We have the micro servos that like go back and forth like 90, 120 degrees, but we also have DC motors in a micro servo body.
Right.
So if you want something that rotates continuously, like a DC motor, you have to have an H bridge. We can use those. We
Smart.
also have analog feedback micro. The micro servo size is very popular, and so
This is smart.
you have a couple options. We have metal gear, plastic gear, analog feedback, DC motor, whatever, micro servos. It'll fit. Yeah, we know that they fit ours. They'll probably fit anything that's called like a 9G micro servo. Pick them up. So we have one of each.
And the bricks and the servo not included.
That's right.
You all know that, but the guy will do it, and we'll have to deal with him. Okay. Guess what?
Next up.
Floppy bunny.
Yeah.
On the background of this is some disk drive sounds because
Zip, 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 zip. I want to do a couple
sorry.
floppy projects, and people were like, where do I get floppy drives? Well, I found some floppy drives. So they're not new. I gotta
no,
I
you
think
can't.
people-
Sorry, folks, not new.
They're not new. And these are little dusty. This one's one of the nicer looking ones.
Ew.
They're upcycled. They're no longer made, but they've been tested. So we've like verified that they work. We put a floppy drive in, we have a little floppy tester to make sure that can read
Yes.
disk and generate the right signals. They're upcycled. They are many decades old, but they do seem to function. These are really good when you don't want to use one of those USB floppy drives, which are, by the way, also using upcycled floppies.
Yeah.
Desktop floppies.
Yeah.
These are from like desktop computers. So you'll need something like a floppy featherwing. You'll need a 4-pin IDC cable. You'll need a Berg power adapter that gives you 5 volts, like 1 to 2 amps. So it's like these are non-trivial to use. You'll also need floppy disks, which are not included.
But if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So the good news is they all work. There's no guarantee of which exact model you're going to get.
Yeah.
They seem to almost all be Sony MPF 920s, but I can't guarantee it. So if you're looking for ones that have particular flux, reactivity, timing, they're kind of all Sony, but look, Sony 920.
If you're that specific, you're probably not going to get them from us anyway.
Right.
So, okay.
But if you don't want to deal with eBay, you just want to get a floppy that a drive that works.
They're tested, it works, and we're going to do a lot of stuff with it. Okay.
Get you back.
Next up, this is part of the, star of the show type products, but we're going to get to a couple first.
Hearts.
And
Spheres.
And then the star of the show tonight, besides you, Lady Ada, our community, our team, the open source world, everybody who makes and shares and makes this world a better place and cool to live in, is the star ones.
Adafruit stars.
Stars. That's what it is.
Stars.
Stars.
Adafruit stars.
Yeah.
There's
So,
stars. NeoPixel. So Aaron requested these.
yeah.
These are cool. So these are exactly what they look like. They're little NeoPixel dots, but they're encased in like this translucent resin.
Yeah.
They're everyday NeoPixels, and they've got this like super flexible cord in between. I'm not gonna say they're waterproof, but like you could use them outside as long as you're not like dunking them in
Yeah. We
water.
can never say waterproof. Probably water
I
resistant.
learned my lesson because I've said like something is encased in waterproof, and somebody's like, I put it.
I
in a
bought them for
saltwater tank,
bought them for my salt swimming pool,
Yeah.
and it was in there for a year, and now I'm angry,
and now it's like it's starting to
and
fill.
I'm salty too.
And they're salty. Okay, so go to the overhead. Show these off. So like I said, super flexy. There were other shapes, but to be honest, only these 3 shapes look good because you want to have fairly good coverage of all of the plastic. It is brighter on one side, but like both are like fairly bright. From far away, you won't notice. 6 inches apart. These are good for like you want to decorate a room. This could be really fun, or a costume, or make some like fun jewelry. or your bicycle. Like again, I would not leave these outside for extended periods of time. You could have it outside, covered maybe, or if you're okay with them eventually possibly failing because they're not IP rated. And then this soft, flexible, very soft, very flexible stranded wire. They come with JST SM connectors on both sides. So this is a socket, black is ground, green is data, red is power. And I'm just driving mine from like a cutie pie. We sell the cable, so if you can plug and play them to extend them. In fact, maybe I'll do. Although I don't know. Maybe I'll get the hearts.
Yeah, I'm gonna let our kids, your kid plant these in our room and stuff.
Yeah, this would be like fun. You could.
And
Okay, so then this is hearts. And to be honest, I don't remember what I programmed these with, how many pixels, but they're 20 pixels per. Okay, so now the hearts are lit up. So the hearts look kind of cute too. And then the spheres are also pretty good. Spheres. Although to be honest, I think the stars look best and the hearts look also quite good. The star, I'm a huge fan of the stars. And then this is the spheres, and the spheres are cool. The spheres actually are very even. Like they're kind of the spheres kind of look the best because they're the most even. But like they're spherical, so I don't know, they're not as fun shaped maybe, unless you really like spheres. So, balls, stars, and hearts.
Yeah.
NeoPixels, use any NeoPixel code with them, they work. They work, best at 5 volts because because they're diffused, you'll want 5 volts. But you can kind of drive them on 3.3 volts if you absolutely have to.
Okay, and that is new products. Don't forget the cold. Don't forget the code is Star Strand, and there's all this free stuff that you can get.
Okay.
We're gonna go do questions now, lady. We have a bunch lined up, and then we'll do the ones in the chat, and we'll get out of here. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm getting
Okay.
festive here.
Questions.
Alrighty, first question. Starting new design using microchip SAM-D21. I noticed most of the Adafruit boards added SPI flash with the exception of the SAM-D21 Feather Basic. Question: should I include a flash chip, and what should I consider when choosing?
It depends. If you're going to run CircuitPython, I would definitely add the SPI flash. It's really hard to do a lot with CircuitPython on the SAM-D21 without it. You can pick any. I think like the W25Q32. I would pick a 2 megabyte because to be honest, the pricing doesn't get much better below 2. Like you end up spending like it doesn't double in price with double the size until you get to like 4, to like after 2 or 4. So I'd take a 2 megabyte SPI. Just make sure it runs at 3.3 volts, and then you wire it up to any of the SPI ports. You get tons of Circom, so just pick a Circom and put it on there. If you have the space, I'd add it, especially the SOIC ones. They're only like 25 cents.
Thank you for your question. Next up, this one, it's on the YouTube. What is the output if it's configured? This was from the Infineon barrel thing. What is it configured if it's for USB PD power sources capable of outputting? Is it just zero output or something else? Is there an error pin or signal over I2C to downstream circuit? No, there's not a problem for the case where the downstream circuit is battery powered and one is trying to switch all wall powered by plugging in USB PD.
So yeah, I don't remember the exact for this one. In general, there's pretty much 2 options. Either they'll output 5 volts or they'll output the next highest voltage. And usually that's configurable. I think for the Psi 4534, there was 2 settings you could use with the resistor. There was minimum voltage and maximum voltage. And so I think if you say, look, I'm not going to take anything less than 12 volts, and it couldn't provide 12 volts, it would take you down to 9. It would like not output anything at all. And so you could do that to kind of have an under voltage lockout type thing. It depends a lot on the chip that is doing the USB PD for you. There's no standard answer.
Next up, how much iteration does it usually take to get production ready boards, and what do you keep the lot size and iteration?
Usually it seems to be like 3. Like the first one is just to kind of like get some things going, and then I get the Rev B, and that's when the major bugs have been fixed, but maybe I have like a couple layout issues or like some other minor tweaks that I want to do. And then Rev C tends to be the last one. Usually I do a run about like 250 boards.
Okay. Next, my favorite engineer was Tesla. You mentioned secrets of the universe include frequency and vibration. The opinion it's high voltage and high frequency. What's the highest frequency most common microcontrollers can achieve, and how can external parts increase that?
Okay. The highest microcontrollers can achieve an external parts increase. Well, a lot of chips have a crystal, and you want to pick a good crystal, so you have like a precision frequency output, and they often have a PLL. Sometimes you can overclock chips, like we've overclocked the SAMD21, the RP2040 has been overclocked. The fastest like common microcontroller that people are using these days is I'd say it's like the ESP32 because it's running at 240 megahertz. And it's like a dual core, so that's a pretty high frequency output. But beyond that, you're getting into like the Raspberry Pi, which is running at 700 megahertz, but it's not a microcontroller.
Okay. Next up, how can I run my own MIDI files on the Adafruit board so I don't have to connect the board to a computer?
So this is a question about like, yeah, can you run and parse MIDI files directly? And the answer is yes. We did a project.
Yeah.
I don't off the top of my head remember, but there was a project where we parsed MIDI files.
Yeah, just go to learn.adafruit.com.
With the audio, and we made a little. I think it was for the Neo Trellis.
Okay.
Yes.
Next up, can I do heart rate detection with this? This is from the EXIV radar shield to go IMMPI from a while ago.
No, I think it was only for motion, speed, and detection. I know that there's some that say they can do heart rate.
Okay.
I don't know that that's true.
Next up, this one is from Desk of Lady Ada comment question. How about a Max IO version of the RP2350 Feather that puts a couple of rows of extra pads at the right of the board so all the GPIO pins of the larger chip package can be brought out?
Well, the Feather does actually bring out all the GPIO, but it brings it out on the HSTX connector. But we're probably going to do on the when we do the Metro version, we'll use the B. It'll have a lot of GPIO.
Okay. Good question. Next up, is this system compatible with the PyBoard original? This is the code editor. Someone tried and they said no.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably a minor bug.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I looked later and someone answered.
Yeah, we've only used it with CircuitPython. It should be possible to use with MicroPython. There's no reason. It's probably a minor thing about like the timing or like you need to send Control D twice or something. But the code editor, conceptually, the web serial should work just fine. I'll
skip to a follow-up of one of the other ones. When you're working with a new part or chip, do you use breadboards or jump right to ordering PCBs like JLC PCB $5 special?
To be honest, I have to jump right to the PCB ordering because you can't get the chips I'm using these days. They're not breadboard friendly.
Okay, next up, I have an issue when I'm trying to remotely program several microcontrollers over SWD. The only problem is my solution is the length of one of the programming cables. Do you think it will work if I put this in line? This is the I2C over 100-foot Ethernet.
This is a good question. So the LTC 4311, I don't believe was designed to do SWD, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. As long, anything that's an open drain protocol and bidirectional, the LTC 4311 will help you with the slew rate. So try it.
Try it and let us know. Good question.
See if it works. Yeah.
Next up, it's kind of cool to connect from the browser to a device. Is that thing open source?
Yes, it is.
That thing is open source.
It's open source.
That thing's open source. Okay. And then we got questions from the chat. We're going to do one of the coolest. Well, this is a comment because Todd has good taste, by the way.
Less a question, one
comment. One of the coolest things that TinyUSB enables is Tiny UF2, a cross-platform UF2 bootloader for many chips and boards. My belief that the existence of Tiny UFT encouraged Raspberry Pi to put the UF2 in ROM for the RP2XXX microcontrollers. I do too. Okay.
Definitely didn't hurt.
How would someone get the USB data to set up HID to set up with Tiny USB? Is there a software for Windows to get this data? Please share links in Discord.
There's nothing to stop here. Okay, if you want to not use
I need to put an off switch on.
You have to use if you don't want to use USB serial like CDC, which is of course the easiest because then it shows up with a COM port. If you want to use HID, you can send data over HID, like people have definitely done it. You would want to use Pi USB, and you'd want to look at my how to hack a Connect article because I talk a little bit about like Pi USB and how to send and receive like data directly from endpoints.
Oh,
Not recommended. I would really
okay.
just do
Next up.
USB serial.
Feather RP2040 question. I have a Feather Adafruit Wing OLED 128 by 32 OLED connected to RP2040. I want to add an Adalogger Feather Wing, RTC and SD. Is it possible to solder pins together so that both the OLED and Adalogger are running at the same time off the RP2040, or should I look for an alternative way of storing data?
Just put stacking headers on the Adalogger Feather Wing and you put it in the middle and then you put the OLED on top. Or you can use our doubler,
Yeah.
tripler, and then you can just have them side by side.
Okay. Arduino announced a collaborative mode for their student enterprise IoT product. Would you think the web workflow or IoT plus or our stuff would benefit from such a feature? Maybe open web RTC version. So here's my answer. I'm going to try it out and I'm going to see.
Why not?
And I'm also going to look and see if anyone posts tutorials or videos where they say, hey, check out this cool like collaborative feature. A lot of the software as a service things, unless you see people using it and how they're using it, probably don't want to, hey, everybody, let's add this feature yet. So if Arduino does something really interesting and great that people really like, of course, we'll add it to our stuff. And with that is our questions. Let me double, triple check. Yes, got the questions there. Got the questions here. Going once, going twice. That is it. Let's do a little bit of the last things. StarStrand is the code. You get a bunch of free stuff. Here's one thing, and thank you, NYC kid who just posted this, because this is a very nice thing to end the show with. Thanks. Always learning stuff on the show, and I really appreciate your advice and transparency about your business model. Because of Adafruit, I have the confidence to start working on professional level products, things I never even considered doing, knowing there's a great community here to keep me sane. We did a post about a person who uses CircuitPython to make their own boards, and that got them 5 years ago to start their own company, and they're selling electronics. The more you give in the world, the more you get.
Wow.
So put it out there, everyone.
Should write a song like that.
Nope. You know what I heard? So Oasis is back together for a thing. So I watched.
You mentioned this to me like about every 2 hours. Yeah.
Right. Well, because I like the Beatles.
Yeah.
And I can't listen to new Beatles songs, the AI ones, but they had these interviews with Paul McCartney, and they were talking about how they were doing the songs.
Yeah.
They were talking about other bands that did like tribute to him. Absolutely amazing. He's still alive, and he's talking about the history of the Beatles.
Yeah, it's
There's
weird.
videos all over the place about him talking about how they made the songs too. Absolutely incredible.
What does that have to do with Oasis? You mentioned you started with Oasis.
Yeah.
Did you want to finish that thought?
No, I was just really excited about it. Well, you said there was a song about that. The more you give, the more you get. Yeah. So, and I was thinking about a Beatles song. But, okay. So, anyways, that's it. Thanks for being on this journey with us. I'm gonna go to sleep.
It's 9 o'clock.
I'm really tired.
Let's go.
We'll see everybody next week. This has been an Adafruit production. Thank you so much, everybody. Here we are. Woo! It's Adafruit Lonely Hearts Club. Yeah. Bye. Here is your moment of